What makes you, you? Let's start off with variation. So people reproduce by sexual reproduction, which means that the child will get 23 chromosomes from their mom and 23 from their dad, which also means that the child will not be identical to the parent. This is known as variation. So why does variation matter? Well, if humans were all the same, then our population would die fairly quickly. If a sickness kills one person, then it can kill all. When the child, also known as an offspring, is identical to the parent, it is known as asexual reproduction. And if you remember, humans reproduce by sexual reproduction, which means that the child will be different from the parents. Let's take Dave and Kevin here. Dave and Kevin are brothers. So Dave and Kevin have many differences, one of them being eye color. Dave has black eyes and Kevin has blue eyes. So how is this possible? Let's look at their parents, Steve and Rachel. Steve and Rachel both have black eyes. Well, if they both have black eyes, then how is it possible that Kevin has a different eye color? This is possible because humans reproduce by sexual reproduction. So Steve and Rachel are both heterozygous for their traits, and having black eyes is dominant. When a trait in a person is heterozygous, it means that the person has two different genes for that trait. When a trait is dominant, the gene only needs to show up once for the trait to show. So we see here, since both Steve and Rachel have the black eyes trait show up once, we know it will show because it is dominant. So how did Kevin get his eyes? We know that the child gets half their chromosomes from their mom and half from their dad. So what if both parents had given their blue eye chromosome over here? Well, now Kevin has blue eyes. But how is it decided which trait the child gets, and how does it happen? The answer to that is meiosis. What is meiosis and what is the goal? Well, from the example, remember that the goal is to split the chromosomes so that mom can give 23 chromosomes and dad can give 23 chromosomes. So how do they split? Let's take this cell, and let's say that it's Rachel's cell. And remember, Rachel is the mom. For ease of demonstration, this cell only has 2 pairs of chromosomes instead of 23 pairs. So these chromosomes are the same length. Over here, they're the same length. This means that they code for the same thing but have different values. Let's say this pair codes for eye color. The blue one contains her blue eye gene, and the red chromosome contains her black eye gene. And let's say this pair over here codes for hair color. The blue one contains the black hair gene, and the red one contains the red hair gene. So next in the process of meiosis, all the chromosomes double, making identical copies, also known as sister chromatids. These are sister chromatids. After that, all the chromosomes will line up in the middle of the cell, and then spindle fibers come in and grab onto the chromosomes. The process of which chromosomes are grabbed by which spindle fibers is completely random. So instead of this spindle fiber grabbing onto this red chromosome over here, it is completely possible that this one could have grabbed on to this one over here. Or, instead of this fiber, this one could have grabbed onto this blue chromosome. The process is completely random. Then, the fibers will contract, and they will bend the chromosomes in this particular shape. After that, the cells will split. It splits into 2 new cells. These cells are not identical because of the randomization in the last step. Again, the chromosomes will line up in the middle of the cell, and again, spindle fibers will come in and grab the identical chromosomes. When the fibers contract, the identical chromosomes will be split up. And as we can see here, these cells are not identical again. After that, the cells will split again. So, this time, there are 4 cells now. And, as we can see here, these 2 are identical, and these 2 are identical, but these are not. As you can see, there is variation. And remember, a real human cell has 23 pairs of chromosomes instead of 2. Okay, so if we look at this cell, we see that it has the long blue chromosome in it. If you can remember, this is the chromosome carrying the blue eyes gene. If this cell, which is also an egg since it is from a woman, is fertilized by this cell, which, let's say it's the result of Steve's, the dad, going through meiosis, also known as the sperm, since it is from a man, the child would have blue eyes, since both cells carry the blue eye gene chromosome. Well, what if Rachel had given her black eye chromosome? What if the cell that she had given had the black eye chromosome from meiosis? Well, now the child is going to have black eyes, because if we remember, black eyes is dominant, and the trait only needs to, or the gene needs to only show up once in the chromosome for the trait to be effective. So that is how variation occurs. And again, remember, a real human cell has 23 pairs of chromosomes instead of only 2. So, to answer the question of why Dave and Kevin are not identical and why is it important that they are different, it is because variation exists in humans due to sexual reproduction through meiosis, and it is important because without variation, no one is unique. Everyone will be affected by the same things. You are not you. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching and listening.